Alright, Diablo players, Season 11, the Sorcerer, what is going to be the balance update for this class? Alright, so starting right off, we're getting a buff to teleports damage, although there's a big nerf to teleport as well. So for starters, the teleport damage is actually getting increased by almost like triple. So we went from 35 damage to 90% damage. Now, while this sounds good, they also nerfed the mystical teleport, which used to give you 500 I believe this was a multiplier to increase damage, which would also form crackling energy. But now, teleport generates 3 charges of crackling energy. So for crackling energy, overall, I would say this is pretty nice because it would require you to hit the enemies. Now it just generates it, so you can just spam it when there's no one there, and you would still generate the crackling energy. However, the big downside is that damage is now lost. Not that it mattered anyways, but I would say overall this is actually a buff here, but the damage numbers on teleport never really seem to be that great as far as making a build with it, even if when you would have like 30-40 ranks with the Oculus. But next up over here, we also have a change to the shimmering teleport. So let me zoom in on this one because this is actually kind of important here. So what is getting changed here is that after you teleport, normally you would get that damage reduction, right? In Season 11, they are nerfing every single class's survivability. This was just free 30% damage reduction. Now, it dazes enemies at its endpoint for 1.5 seconds. So, basically for 1.5 seconds, you have the ability to maybe do extra bonus damage to the enemies, because when enemies are affected by a crowd control, you can get some more damage via control and probably some other things over there. So, that's kind of nice. I would say it's a give and a take, but overall, it's probably done so to make us feel squishier, although Sorc was a pretty tanky class, to be honest anyways. Next up, the Frozen Orb, the chill amount got reduced from 9% to 5%. So enemies will get frozen less, essentially, or chilled less. I would say the thing that makes the Frozen Orb build good, which is what we're playing, is really just like the raw damage that it has when you invest heavily with the Chaos Powers in Season 10. But now Frozen Orb looks like something that they want to actually make it be a viable like endgame build. When I'll show you guys some of the newer updates here in a moment. But even though this is objectively a nerf, it's also, again, trying to make it so the game feels a little bit harder when things aren't frozen. Then we have Enhanced Frozen Orb. So previously, while healthy, the explosion of Frozen Orb would deal increased damage. Now it's just 50x more damage. So it's a 5x damage increase. It's so small, whatever. But it doesn't require you to be healthy. So again, more consistency. I think that's good. And then we also have Shimmering Frost Nova, which now restores 20 mana per enemy instead of 10% per enemy. So this is a massive nerf. If you guys didn't know, in Season 10, which is still going on right now, Frost Nova is played as a rune combo with the Thul rune, and it basically gives you immortality. Is it busted? Sure. But I'm still seeing this as a major nerf. Even though we won't have Mana Shield in the next season, you can still kind of get Mana Shield with the new Melted Heart of Selig, though. But it restores 200 mana, which, I mean, it's a pretty big amount. That's a big chunky amount when hitting a boss. So these are just overall basically nerfs. Then though, there is some buffs specific to Frozen Orb being the prime vessel of your damage when you would run some of the things like the amulet, like the Fractured Winter Glass. So Primordial Binding, it says previous gain a stacking bonus for each active summon up to 10 stacks. So pretty much you would get 60 summon damage, you would also get 60% movement speed, and a big chonky amount of mana regen. And so, because they're nerfing all of the stuff in Season 11, now you just get summoning damage over here. So there is kind of a buff, right? Because you get a massive amount of extra bonus damage for summoning. So this is actually pretty nice, because if you were a fan of the Hydra build, I'm assuming Hydra will probably be the top tier build again. But they kind of want us to play Frozen Orb, and we'll get into that in a second. But as far as this goes, I don't really like that they're nerfing movement speed and mana regen. I like how there was at least a give and a take, because this is a pretty big number. It just kind of secures Hydra, which was already currently the best build as well. You just made it even stronger now. Now, next up, though, there's the aspect of Tenacious Destruction. So they changed it from an offensive to a defensive aspect. They also renamed it to aspect of Tenacious Survival. So now, it used to give you 50 X increased damage while you have no defensive skills in your action bar. Now you gain up to 600 increased armor and heal 5% maximum life a second while you have no defensive skills on your action bar. So this is actually not too bad if you were ever someone that played with the Juggernaut aspect, kind of while you were leveling. If you get this is actually pretty great for leveling. I think this is a fantastic thing to use. Even towards the end game, if you really need some extra like regen, I think that this is not that bad at all. Really cool thing indeed. I wish that the Necromancer had this, because when you use the bone spear to absorb, like, that would cost HP, it would have been kind of cool that if this was a generic one. I'm hoping this is generic, but I'm pretty sure that it is going to be a Sorc only one, even though every class can use defensive, but nonetheless it's tagged over here. Then we have the aspect of tenuous agility. So previously how it used to work is that you would gain up to 20% movement speed, and this bonus is tripled if you haven't used a defensive skill in the last 8 seconds. So this is kind of nice. I mean, tripling up this, I mean, you could put it on an amulet, but let's be real. Everyone's just going to put it on the boots, because the amulet, you're losing it on the extra DPS. But what this does allow you to do is 60% movement speed is pretty good. But now it's changed to 80% movement speed, and this bonus is removed for 10 seconds after you cast any defensive skill. So on the higher end, this is actually even better now. You get 20% more. That's pretty much filling up all of your movement speed, because if you get any movement speed on your boots, you already will have the base one of 100, and of course you just get any roll. Pretty much you can get the lowest roll and you'll have maxed out movement speed. So that's kind of cool. I like that. And then we also have a change to the snow veiled aspect. So previously, after you cast ice armor, it would give you unstoppable and damage reduction. Now ice armor makes you unstoppable and grants you almost 400 armor. So like Sorc is just getting free defensive stats over here. But that's going to be nice if you do need to armor cap. But remember, guys, there's going to be a new change to like armor and resistances, so we'll have to wait and see. Now we also have a change to the aspect of the Firebird, so it would make it so you would gain the Flame Shield enchantment for free, and then when Flame Shield activates, the meteorites would fall around you. Now while Flame Shield is active, meteorites cascade around you and deal fire damage, and then the meteorites gain lucky hit chance. So this is kind of cool, actually. Anytime they add lucky hit chance to proc other things, I think that is quite cool. The jolting aspect now has an additional 5 ranks, same thing with Winter Touch. I don't know how this actually registers in actual game, because this could mean that like there's higher rolls, or it could just mean that it's going to be more rare to get the highest one because it's an additional 5 ranks. Now for the unique items, the Oculus, they changed it. So the previous one used to be attacks reduce evade's cooldown by 1 second, and then you would gain an evade charge. Now we have teleport Nova size. So I'm not sure what they're doing with the teleport Nova, because how it should work is that you obviously increase the size because you want to do damage with it, unless you're using it for lucky hit chance, which actually has 100%, but there's a big nerf teleport, which is really disappointing, which makes it so like it goes against what they're doing with Nova, because remember, they like tripled the damage, but then they remove the damage with the 500x multiplier when you get like the upgrade for it. But now with the unique power, previously you would gain the effect of the teleport enchant for free, and then when you use evade, you're going to be taken to a random location. So now casting teleport grants a stack of galvanization, increasing its damage by 30 to 50 for 8 seconds. Becoming injured teleports you to a random location. So I'm not sure how this exactly works, because I don't know how many stacks of this you can actually generate. If you're able to generate like a huge amount of stacks, then maybe we can actually make teleport a build. So keep on the lookout for somehow a way to increase this. I'm not sure, because it says casting it generates it. It doesn't say that it would ever fall off. So I guess if you're able to consistently spam teleport, maybe this could be a way where you can just get damage. But you can only spam it so hard. They're changing the cooldown to 5 seconds. So in theory, you could keep on getting it, but obviously the old one would fall off unless it refreshes all the stacks, which sometimes it does, and it doesn't really explain it in the game. But nonetheless, there is a buff to, again, Frozen Orb, which makes me kind of excited. So the ranks of Primordial Binding got changed to 2 to 4 skill ranks of Frozen Orb. And then also casting Frozen Orb has a chance to spawn in a conjuration, then when it explodes, and then you would be able to have a chance to launch an additional Frozen Orb via those conjurations. Now it's changed to Frozen Orb deals 4 to 8% more damage per active summon, and then you also have a chance to create a random conjuration when cast, and then lucky hit, your summons have up to a 90% chance to launch a frozen orb at an enemy. So that's kind of cool that this is just a 90% and you don't have to have like a big roll, because that's a pretty big range. So I like the consistency of that, and I think that frozen orb might be something to consider if you guys do want to go ahead and play with it. I think it might be something that will be somewhat viable, but I'm gonna be real, looking at how the Hydra build is like so much more powerful, I think Hydra will probably still be a lot stronger, but who knows, sometimes you just gotta play it to kind of find out how it works in game. But they're also changing Alignment of the Infinite, so before it'd be like after you would use teleport, the close enemies are pulled to you, and then it stuns the enemies, but teleport's cooldown is increased. Now after casting teleport, close enemies are pulled inwards, and it has a chance to reset from each enemy it kills. So in theory, if you are killing enemies with teleport, which is basically like normal difficulty, because let's be real, as far as I'm aware of, there's not like crazy multipliers with teleport, other than like what we just got right here, where it says that you can get these stacks of galvanization. So if you can increase that by like a huge amount, maybe you can make use out of this, because as a chance to reset, and if you run this and you get like a perfect one, you have a 30% chance, and if you kill like, you know, 3 enemies, it's like 90%. So who knows if we're going to be able to spam teleport consistently if there is a group of monsters, but I still think it's way better just to have infinite teleport, which is getting nerfed. Anyways, axial conduit. So resource generation and maximum affects replaced with resource generation. So you no longer get that maximum resource, which is a nerf to it. The damage reduction got changed with int. Again, they're nerfing all the survivability in the game. And then with Okune's, damage reduction for each active ball lightning is replaced with int. So again, making every build squishier. Essador's overflowing cameo, damage reduction got replaced with cooldown reduction. Helm of Verglas, the maximum cold resistance got removed, and now it's cold res of 300. And then with the enchants, the ice armor, these are like the enchantments, what you would get with the character. So like the specialization here, right? It's the previous, upon getting hit, you'd have a 5% chance to apply ice armor. Now it's healing potions apply ice armor and have a 25% chance to refund themselves. This one actually might be pretty cool. I would definitely look into this. They're changing potions in the new season. They're making it so you only have 4 potions, but as long as you're killing stuff and you're getting them, maybe you can 100% uptime it with just this alone. So that's kind of cool. And there is going to be a new item that automatically will give you this for free. So I actually think this is a pretty cool change here. Then with Frost Nova enchantment, we have lucky hit, your conjurations would have a chance to unleash Frost Nova. Now it's lucky hit, you have up to a 10% chance to unleash a Frost Nova after hitting an enemy. So I think that this is overall a pretty nice change, because you could just spam things like Fireball and you could just get like Frost Nova. So I like this, and you could probably still get infinite mana pretty easy. And then we have the teleport enchant. So previously the evade cooldown was replaced with a 17-second cooldown over it. And now the new update is evade becomes a teleport with a 5-second cooldown that cannot be reduced. This is the keyword. So 17, you normally would say, oh, is that a buff? No, it is a massive nerf. The infinite teleport build is basically deleted out of the game, which is super disappointing. Now, are we going to be able to figure out a way to run around it? I don't know. Even with, what is it, the jaw room? I think there's a rune that lets you also activate your teleport. It's just probably not going to be a thing we can do, but I'm going to try. I'm going to figure out some sort of shenanigans, and hopefully we can still run infinite teleport in some other way, because this not being able to have a cooldown kind of sucks. But remember that the other thing gives you the ability to reset with Alignment of the Infinite. So maybe this can enable it, but who knows. And then on top of that, we are getting a change to the Frozen Orb. So the previous one, whenever you would cast a non-basic skill, you would have a 30% chance to launch a Frozen Orb. Now casting a skill has a 30% chance to launch a Frozen Orb at a nearby enemy, which is pretty cool, because if you are running a basic skill that would also want Frozen Orb, I guess now you can just have it. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but that's just, I would say that's overall a buff. So if I was to play in Season 11, I would definitely try out the Frozen Orb Sorc, but it was pretty far behind in damage, and even if you gave it, I don't know, like 100x additional damage, compared to Hydra, the Hydra just is like way higher in terms of like the damage. But nonetheless, there is some new unique that gives you ranks to core skills, which is pretty cool, which will be really great overall for the Sorc class. But nonetheless, the only thing to really note that it's like really important to mention is that you don't have infinite teleport, which makes the Sorc feel a lot worse, because it was already kind of towards the bottom of the barrel when it came to the push, but as far as speed running, Sorc was like god tier. So let me know, guys, what are you going to be playing if you're playing a Sorc in Season 11? I'm definitely going to be starting out with Sorc so far via the patch notes. It looks like the most exciting class to play still because, well, I love Frozen Orb and it's getting buffed, so maybe this is going to be the flavor of the month. And keep in mind, it's PTR. A lot of times they buff some of the stuff that they reintroduce in the game, and if it doesn't like perform right, like Flurry got buffed several different times, so hopefully we'll get Frozen Orb to be like the actual like build in Season 11 for the Sorc, because I like Hydra, don't get me wrong, but I want something else to be like on the same level. And you know, Ice Shards is pretty strong as well, but I want Frozen Orb just for one season to be kind of king here. So hopefully we'll see some additional buffs to it in the future. But that's gonna wrap it up for the Sorc, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.